you all, my listeners, and welcome to the maiden edition of Citizens Tech Talk. I am your host, Mena. We are here today to bring you great news and updates on digital technology around us and discuss the latest developments on how technology can make our lives more exciting. We are expanding our world to make sure we join over 5 billion people who are engaged globally in tech activities. Welcome to our world as we debut this show with our special guest, Muyiwa Matuluko, a leading tech specialist, seasoned writer, and journalist. His innovative ways, research, and campaign for greater digital engagements have largely contributed to the development of Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. Hello, Muyiwa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Philomena. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Are you?
I'm great. You sound great. I'm very, very happy that you could make it on the show today. I appreciate that.
Same here.
Okay. Muyiwa, how did you find yourself in the tech world?
I've always been interested in some way or the other in technology, right? And so I have two major loves: writing and computers.
Okay.
And so it just so happened that I find myself wanting to write, and because I love computers and technology, I found myself writing about technology, and I found that I was good at it, and that's just how I've been in this space since 2012. That's just how I found myself.
Okay, from I guess writing about technology requires you to do a lot of research and get into the latest trends of new techie things that are happening.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the different ways technology has influenced our society today?
Technology has definitely had very, very, very major impact on society. How we live, how we eat, how we relate with others, how we communicate, how we do business, all of that. So, for example, now, right now we're having this conversation, right? You're in Abuja, I'm in Lagos, we're in different locations. I didn't have to spend hours at the airports, the cost of flights. You didn't have to bother about the logistics. So, and even before that, we've been communicating over the past few weeks. We've never met, but we've already been communicating.
Yeah.
And the people are listening to this now. They're in their homes, they're in their offices. So sometimes it's some of the even more obvious things that it's not always about very, very complex things. But even in business, I mean, we can now do business at the speed of thoughts. We're not bound by location, we're not bound by time zones or any of that constraints. I mean, we saw how technology helped businesses during the pandemic, for example, and how remote work is becoming a thing. And yes, some people were not, it affected some people because they were not able to embrace technology.
Yeah.
Or because in some areas like me, a shoemaker, for example, how those,
True.
I mean, I'm sure innovations are coming in that space, but your shoe is cut and you need to fix it. You need to go and see the person physically for now.
Yeah, for now.
But I mean, technology can. But just imagine the shoemaker was
online.
Home
on an
deliveries,
app,
for example.
Yeah.
So they come pick up the shoe from you, and then it's fixed and it's delivered to you, and all of that. So it's definitely changing, and we see that in the way people order food online, order stuffs online, gadgets and all the things online. So businesses. So it has really changed society in many ways. Even if it's the way we eat. Now with these days we eat. If you've not snapped it and put it on Instagram, you've not eaten it. When you go to a cool restaurant. Even restaurants are building their interior for Instagram.
Of
right?
course, for aesthetics purposes, for online purposes, I swear.
Exactly. And it's bringing more people because when people share those photos on Instagram, other people want to know what restaurant that is, and they come. So it's attracting customers. So you can see all of that. So many examples I can give of how
from what you're saying, okay, so we are imagining that our listeners are just laymen, like we don't really know anything about technology, we don't know much.
Yes.
We are here to learn on this show, Citizens Tech Talk with Mena. All right, from what you've said now, it seems like technology has taken over the role of the middleman.
Yeah, in some way, I mean, people, convenience is always going to be something of value. So some people will always still want the middleman, right? In some way,
Mm-hmm.
and the middleman too can also find a way to make themselves. The middlemen can find a way to make themselves
More
relevant.
prominent, yeah, more relevant.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
using technology. So people will always want luxury. People will always want convenience. I mean, okay, for example, let me not mention brands, but like ordering food online, for example,
Yeah.
now. Yes, it looks like yes, a middleman is out of the way, but the driver that delivers the food is it could become a middleman.
But
There's the brand that is there's the and the brand itself, right? What about brands?
before the boom of technology in Nigeria, in Africa, middlemen were very, very important people, and you spend a lot of time
Yeah.
with the middleman to get your end product.
Yes,
So
definitely.
whereas you're saying that even the person riding the bike, even is a middleman, but man, that technology has cut it so much that you don't even have to hear from the bike person. Like they can literally just drop it off at the security post or with somebody by
Yeah.
the door
Or
or
with drones,
something.
for example.
Or
Drones are
with
coming.
drones. Yeah, they are doing this in
Drone
America
delivery.
now, aren't they? And in
Yeah.
more developed countries.
Contactless delivery. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like during the pandemic, contactless delivery was very popular,
It
where
was
they would
quite
deliver,
popular.
yeah, without having to, contact you. But in some way, so even if you are saying, okay, drones have taken out delivery man,
Mm.
right? But the company or startup or whatever you are ordering food from, some of them they employ what is called a marketplace model. So they don't keep inventory. They don't own a restaurant. They don't.
Yeah, yeah.
So they are serving as middlemen to
Yes,
all the
they are.
restaurants in your locality, right?
Yes.
But yes, you don't have to deal with them. Yes, you don't have
Yeah.
to talk to them. But
Yeah.
they're still kind of. So, but yes, there are others that are like they have the inventory model where they call it now. There's a new term called cloud kitchens, where the the company that you're dealing with that is delivering your food actually owns a kitchen,
Oh,
or
okay.
right. So it could be a home kitchen where they are cooking in their home,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have to be an actual restaurant. It don't have to be a restaurant where people come in and sit down and eat.
Yeah.
Right? They build a restaurant and they all the orders are processed from there, and then the food is going to wherever it's going to. Although, but even in those cases, too, they find out that they can't have enough kitchens to serve all their
Exactly.
customers as they are growing.
I was just about
So
to
they,
say that.
yeah, so they now deal with other partner
Kitchens.
cloud kitchens.
Yeah,
Cloud
okay,
kitchens, you
okay.
get. So in some way, as long as convenience is still a thing, as
Involved.
long as there will be in some way, middlemen involved in some way.
Okay.
In some way.
With everything that we've said now, how are we leveraging the technological revolution to improve quality of life in Nigeria? So we have talked about how technology has been able to eradicate that middleman thing, sometimes where we have middlemen that can be dubious or that will inflate prices for you just so they can get you a particular service or something in particular. Now we can do it, most things ourselves with the use of our phones and applications. But what are some of the ways do you think that we are actually leveraging this thing to improve our quality of life in Nigeria?
There are many obvious options,
Okay.
obvious answers. So, for example, one that people don't think about nowadays is everybody has a phone, and on that phone, they have access to Google, right? And I remember back in the days when I was in secondary school, if you wanted to confirm a fact, or you wanted to check something, or it could even be something as important that is even life, like a matter of life or death, right? You needed to either go to the library or look for an expert that knows the answer, so to speak, a middleman, or get an encyclopedia. I remember all those very big books with many volumes. But now you just type it on your phone. Or if you are feeling lazy, just say, hey Google, or whichever one you use, Siri or whatever, and you have the answer to the question immediately. So just like that, we are smarter, we are more informed in some way, right? Without having to, go through all the hoops that we have to go through. Um, Also, in terms of how we learn, for example,
Yeah.
YouTube is very popular as mobile data continues to get cheaper. More people are using YouTube, and there's so much. YouTube is not about. It's not just about watching music videos or vlogs or whatever. There's so much informational content. Like there are people uploading lots of content you can learn. You can learn almost anything you can think of on
Yeah, on
YouTube.
YouTube.
So as much as I remember a while back, my generator cut, and I think it was a public holiday or something, and I needed power, right? But
Yeah.
I didn't know how to. I had an extra rope in the house, but I didn't know how to call the code. And I just went to YouTube and I found someone that uploaded a video 9 years ago.
And 9 years
And
ago.
yeah, and in 5 minutes I learned how to do it and I did it. And just like that, like you said, I've cut the middleman off. I didn't have to call my
Yeah.
gen guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so and some of those people uploading things, even Nigerians, like bringing it back to your question, there are many Nigerians on YouTube now making money because they are putting
You know one
knowledge.
problem I had, sorry, let me cut you off. You know
Yeah.
one problem I had with YouTube. It wasn't exactly a problem because anyways the people in developed countries would always put out content that you
Yeah.
would find something. But there are so
Yeah.
many things, there are so many things within Nigeria and Africa
That you won't find.
that
Yeah.
you won't find. And I was wondering,
Uh,
where are our people now? Make una upload things.
I think it's a combination of many things. I think sometimes there's just not enough awareness.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also a cultural thing. We don't like to share.
No,
Like it's a
no.
cultural thing. We just don't share.
I agree.
Right? Or if we're sharing, we want to make money. But what we don't realize is that those people that that you think in the developed countries are sharing those things for free.
Yeah.
What they are doing is they are building authority. By the time by the time you have watched like 4 or 5 of their videos, where they are giving you knowledge on something you're looking for.
From
When they
different
come to you and say,
perspectives.
exactly, when they come to you and say they have a deeper, more detailed course that you can buy on Udemy or Coursera or anywhere that they have, you will not think twice before you pay for it
No,
because
you
they
go
build
for
that
it.
authority. Exactly, they build that authority. But nevertheless, we have a lot of Nigerians doing a lot of wonderful stuff, sharing. You find mostly in the tech space. The people that review devices help you to know whether to buy this phone or not buy that phone, and they're making money. So that's one other way people are learning with that. I mean, of course, I already mentioned how businesses are also using social media. You know, and it's I mean, business doing well is also a way of improving your life because if that business is in business, then the people that they employ can also take care of their families.
Of
They themselves
course.
can take care of their families. Yeah, so people are using social media in very, very interesting ways. Restaurants are optimizing their interior for Instagram.
Giving
We
you a
have
more pleasant experience so that it
Exactly.
can go online and help them with their marketing.
exactly. We have what do they call these people? They're like I forgot they call them. I can't remember what they call them. Proxy shop. Yeah, proxy shoppers that help you go and shop
Yeah, on
the
your
markets
behalf.
and on your behalf. So
Yeah.
your quality of life is improved because you don't have to stress yourself with all of that.
Of
And so
course.
there are so many examples, so that I don't say too much. I'm just trying to keep them very simple because people always think that it has to be something so complex and so out there, but it's just even the basic, everyday, obvious things.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing, especially for us here in Nigeria, is the convenience that technology has brought about. I know for the longest time, we Africans like to think, you want to use shortcuts, you don't want to, all those type of,
Yeah,
type of
exactly.
comments. But, technology makes
Exactly.
smart work possible. That's what I've seen.
Exactly.
It makes smart
Exactly.
work possible. Whereas one person could do maybe like 1 or 2 things a day. Now you can get nearly 10 things done, and you don't even have to be in those locations to get them
Yep.
done.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, technology has also dramatically changed the way that we communicate. Technology has birthed multifunctional communication devices like smartphones, smartwatches, tablets, laptops, and revolutionary applications like a lot of like some applications we just talked about. What are the impacts of these tools on the way we communicate? What has been the impact so far?
Of course, obviously, very, very impactful. I already gave the example of how we're in different locations right now. We're able to communicate. Everybody is now familiar, at least even if you know before the pandemic, you're now familiar with the era of remote work, doing meetings on Zoom or wherever you do the meetings. So you're not having to enter. Okay, Abuja people can relate, but not having to enter Lagos traffic just to do a 30-minute meeting, you know. But even beyond that, I mean, with 5G coming, like there are so many opportunities that are even mind blowing because 5G is supposed to be faster. The technical term for that is lower latency, so it's so fast, like at the speed of thought. So you
Sorry,
can start to
say that
imagine.
again. What will 5G do for us? I remember during the COVID there was some little rumor that the 5G
Oh yeah,
was.
those were
Please, can you
rumors. Those were not.
shed a little light on that for us?
Okay, yeah. So the rumor then was that it was 5G that was causing COVID, and then all the cables that were being dug were 5G cables. Those are not true. So there's no evidence. I mean, so far at least,
Yeah.
there's no evidence that 5G can cause, because 5G is on it's a very short wavelength, like kind of microwave wavelength. But because of the shorter distances, the intensity is not that high. So it's the levels of the radiation are not so high. I mean, they're compared to your mobile phone.
Yeah.
They're not high. They're not high. And then all those cables that were being dug were actually fiber cables.
Okay.
5G is not about, has nothing to do with fiber cables. 5G is more about wireless transmission.
So what should we know
over short
about
distances.
what should we know about 5G?
5G is going to be, to use a lay term, faster, like 100 times faster than even 4G. And what that means is that lower latency. It means the time it takes from where the data was sent to getting to you is so much shorter. And what that will do is that it's going to enable so many things. So, for example, imagine telemedicine. So there's a new emerging trend called it's already happening, right? But
Telemedicine.
Not telemedicine, telesurgery, remote
Telesurgery.
So imagine we have a lot of cases of people having to travel to India or the USA to do this surgery and that surgery. Not necessarily because we don't have good surgeons in Nigeria, but sometimes surgeons are just specialists in specific things, right?
For sure.
And let me use that as an example. Like maybe there's a specific surgeon in the Philippines that is special in a certain thing, and then because you want to get that surgery, you have to travel all the way to Philippines. That means you have to book flights, you have to book accommodation, you have to pay a lot. But now with 5G technology, what it will enable is that surgeon can be in the Philippines. You are here in one on this hospital in Abuja or Lagos or anywhere in Nigeria. Then the doctor wears some hands that is controlling a robot's hand remotely. And because of the speed of 5G, when he moves his finger, the littlest move of his finger, it happens instantly. So he can actually operate on you while he's there in the Philippines.
From another part of the world.
And you are here, right? So that's one. Then imagine another one, education, for example. Everybody wants to go. Again, we're hoping for the days when we all want to stay home here and get our degrees here in Nigeria. But even when our educational system was good, when you hear about what our parents said, there are reasons to go to places like Harvard and whatever because of the network or whatever. Right? But imagine that you don't have to travel all the way to Harvard. You don't have to get a visa. You don't have to spend money on flights, tickets, accommodation, and all of that. You can be here, right, in Nigeria, eating your food at the same rate and everything. But now, because of combination of 5G technology and VR headsets, virtual reality, those ones that you wear on your eyes and you can see what's going on, you can actually sit down as if you're in a classroom in Harvard. You're in your house. You look left, you see your classmates, a virtual version of your classmates. It looks very real. You can talk to them. The only thing is that you can't touch them. You look right. You can see you look in front, you see your lecturer. You can hear him. You are live in the class. They are taking classes. That's what 5G will enable. Because of that speed.
Wow.
Because so there are many examples.
Okay, wait, let me just take you back to telesurgery again. Because this telesurgery, it kind of sounds like magic. But I'm telling you, I know someone who had surgery done with it was robots, but the surgeon was somewhere else controlling the hands of the robot. And this surgery, as a result of that, it was minimally invasive. So whereas before they would cut open maybe your whole midsection, they just had to put in like a few holes insert, and the robotic hands the robotic hands went in and started operating with the guidance from the doctor.
So that's
the closest it comes to the picture you painted about someone being all the way in India, and a machine or a robot will be here in Nigeria, and the person all the way from there can control it here in Nigeria.
It's going to be much. It's going to be that's like. I mean, it's already happening, and in the next 5 to 10 years, you start to see even more advanced
more regular. How do we? But as Nigerians, we are not going to, say things that are not true because we are on air. Let's say it as it is. Do you think we will catch up here?
That's a very, very important question, and I would say that in the time I've spent covering technology over the past 10 years, past the decade, and we've started to see a lot of innovation by Africans trying to solve African problems. We're still trying to catch up, but there are a lot of interesting things happening. For example, in the area of health, there are companies like 54G that is setting out to map and sequence the African genome. What they are doing is that a lot of the medications we use there in Africa, right? They're developed by Europeans.
Of course, they're not made
so they don't necessarily work
with our specification.
Exactly. So we need to be able to, sequence our own DNAs, our own specific,
and see what particularly works for us.
Exactly. And so we have fields like biotechnology and all of that. And so we have a company like that in Africa trying to do that.
What company is that?
54G.
And you say they are gene mapping. They're
yes.
Okay.
Of course, it's a long-term thing.
It is a long-term thing.
It's going to take. They launched 2019, I think. So it's going to take at least 5 years for them to get to the way they are. So meanwhile, they are doing other things like diagnostics,
gathering data.
And I mean to keep the lights on, for example, they're also doing diagnostics.
For people, for funds and. That's lovely.
Yeah, so we're moving away from the point I'm trying to make is we're moving away from where we are either replicating or reusing existing technology. Everybody's always complaining about, for example, there are too many fintechs. They're all just doing the same thing. So we're gradually moving away from that.
You're saying I'm of the belief as well that it's just fintechs or our startup things. Like I hear other African countries. People are trying to solve problems in different ways that's not necessarily financial and all these things. But this gene mapping you talked about is just one medical tech company now, as opposed to how many fintechs all are littered all around.
Yes, we'll get there.
So what other parts do you think that we can get into that is not popular as well? Like now we know that this medical technology side, we know the education side, we know the financial side. What other ways? What other parts are there?
One area that needs a lot of disruption that we don't realize is probably transportation.
Transportation.
Yeah, especially in a city like Lagos. I live in Lagos, and Lagos is it's a mess, let's say, to say the least. So there are a lot of innovations that can happen there.
Give us like two things. If you were giving funds, everything, people at your will to develop something, give us two things.
So one area is self-driving, for example.
Self-driving in Lagos, Muyiwa.
Yes, we can make it work, actually. It just requires a lot of political will, government support, policy support, all of that. What that will solve, I mean, Uber is already thinking far into the future, 10 years from now. Uber is already thinking about, although it's going to affect a lot of their drivers, but they're already thinking about how they will not need drivers anymore, right? And driverless cars will be driving. And then it will now be an opportunity for you to make money with your car. So imagine you have a car, you're in Lagos right now. And one of the issues that in Lagos, again, sorry that I'm using the Lagos example, but
No, it's
what I
okay.
can
It's
relate
okay.
to,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
One of the major issues is there are too many cars on the road. And why are there too many cars? It's because public transportation is not that great.
Yeah.
So people just have to have a car, right? But imagine you wake up in the morning, your car is driverless, it takes you to the office, and then when it drops you at the office, it goes around and makes money for you on Uber. Right? So it's not taking up space in the office, right? And then with a combination of Uber carpooling, where people can share a ride together, rather than just one person in the car. When it's closing time,
that sounds like a dream.
This is something that is already being researched on. Like, I'm talking in the next 5 years, it's going to be happening. To come back and then pick you up, right? And then, of course, we're talking about other things like different modes of transportation that are inventing new ways of transportation that can work with what we have, like the limited space. Or is it cable cars you're talking about? Are you talking about underground vehicles and whatnot? Are you talking about reinventing the roads, the way the roads? Again, I'm not an expert in all of these fields, but
I know, but you know that all that has to come. Yeah, you know all that has to come. Self-driving cars. That you in fact, it's even better if you are in the car is driving itself, so if anything happens, imagine leaving your car to be go and pick up people. Wait, what are the criminals on the road? We'll still have to solve that.
Yeah, I mean that's what the research is supposed to figure out. I mean, even in the US now, the regulation is still that like the Teslas, for example, the Tesla can actually drive itself, but because of things like this, the legal implications, it's still a requirement by law that there must be somebody, and then you must touch the steering wheel every 5 minutes just to show that you're there.
You're there.
Every 5 minutes or every period, but it's not because the car cannot drive itself.
I know.
It's because of challenges like this. So,
human
we will
factors.
figure it out.
No, they will.
Yes.
Definitely. It looks like.
So, with government policy trying to all the stakeholders, researchers, government, everybody playing their parts, we can figure it out. We can actually figure it out.
Nice.
So that's one area. You said I should mention 2 areas.
Yeah, that's
another area I would say is education. But I've already given an idea of how.
Okay,
how
hold
that
on.
can work.
Before you get to your education part, let me throw you my question, because that was supposed to come next. Okay, technology has changed the ways we learn, especially learning at home, in schools, and at work. So I think even before, whereas people, once you start working, people think there's nothing else to learn again. Like, that's just it. But now we come to work, like you said earlier, we're using our phones to check things. We're using our phones to learn new things that we didn't even know how to do, and things like that. So today's learning has become more interactive, collaborative, and non-physical. Where is our education system heading with the deployment of new technologies?
I think we're going to start seeing a future where people spend less time in school, because all of those factors that make schools stay longer will be cut out. All the logistics of moving around. You can take lectures wherever you are.
We've even helped ourselves with that one, with the strike up and down. We are even chasing our own kids out of
I mean, we have so many online schools now. We have the likes of Old School Africa that help people get a software engineering degree in the space of 1 year. That's a fraction of the time to take to do.
What did you call that?
University. Old School Africa.
I didn't hear that.
Old School Africa. Old School Africa. ALT School Africa.
Okay. And there you can learn what?
Software engineering, cloud engineering, all these.
In a year, and it's online.
Yeah, in a year. Yeah, as opposed to 4 years, right? Ooh. So they have semesters too. They have online communities and whatever. But you get everything in 1 year, and after that they offer you job placements. They've promised to offer internships. So they guide you along the way. So imagine you spend 1 year and then after that you have an internship, as opposed to spending 4 years and you don't know what's happening. Curriculum is not changing. The curriculum is outdated. But because it's online, curriculum can change like almost in real time, can be dynamic. Yes, I've also given you the example of being able to access the best professors or the best minds all over the world without having to live where you are. It's 5G and virtual reality. Yes, so that's where we're looking. That's the future we're looking at.
Okay, we'll get back there to the education aspect. We have a message from our listener, Mena. If robots in Western countries are performing surgery, it should remain there. Bring it down to Nigeria, where bad network is the order for the day, and it can't even work. I agree with the guest that there is a lot we can do with technology if there is that political will. Self-driving cars will be fun. Imagine Mena in a car without driver. Me, I went on that car. Patrick from Caro, thank you so much.
I can relate with what he's saying. I understand. But that's what 5G is promising, right? I know many of the reasons why there's a challenge with the connectivity in Nigeria is a number of things. Financial obstacles, policy obstacles. Most of it is actually policy obstacles. I won't get into much of that, but a lot of policy is not allowing these businesses that provide this to invest enough because they are spending a lot to settle all the government's obstacles that are in the way. But that's what 5G is, and that's why, honestly, though, to be honest, that's why 5G might take a while to spread across Nigeria.
Let me just cut you off there.
You start to see them in very
Okay. Recently, I did report on the news because I read the news at work here. I reported on the news that Google was digging some cables across, into Africa, into different parts of Africa, and it was going to pass through Nigeria. I think that has already happened. They promised it would be in Lagos, and from Lagos it will be drawn to other parts of Nigeria.
Happening next year. They started digging, but it's not live yet.
It's not live yet.
2023.
Oh, that's next year.
Yeah, next year.
Okay. So we are expecting faster internet services from that.
So that's going back into why. It's not going to solve exactly the major issue.
Exactly.
So what we have, even without Google coming, we already have so much fiber cables landing at our coastal areas in Lagos and all of those places. The issue has always been the distribution to further places in Nigeria, and it's a policy challenge. There's what they call the right of way. Before all of these telecommunications companies can dig the cable that will take that thing that has landed in the sea all the way to Abuja or all the other more central places away from the coast, right? They need to get permission from the government. Ideally, what the government should do is give them that right of way for free, and then tax them,
at the end.
At the end.
Yes, but when they set up and everything, then you
exactly. But what a lot of governments are doing is asking for money upfront. Local governments are asking for money upfront, and the costs are astronomical, billions of naira. So what they just do now is they just so that they know that they can make the money back.
They just do what? Areas. What do they? Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, they go to urban areas where they see the use for it.
So they don't mind where they can pay them. But assuming,
even if they pay, they will recoup it back from the clients.
But not to bash government. Last year or 2 years ago, we had a lot of Ekiti state governments and Kaduna, a few other governments crashed right of way prices. Some of them made it totally free.
Nice.
Ekiti partnered with one of the telcos to dig kilometers of cables around Ekiti. So we will start to see a lot of that. And then Google being, you know how it is in Nigeria, let's say the truth. Google being an international body, they might have a bit of leeway that they can use to
of course, with their familiarity already.
And all of that. So hopefully, with all of those signals we saw last 2 years ago, with different governments crashing those right of ways, we'll start to see movement. But in Lagos, it's not happening because I guess they just know that they know that these companies will always make the money in Lagos.
Yes,
so right
of course, we know.
Has not been. So hopefully, what Google is doing and all the other telcos, the local ones like One and all of them are doing. Hopefully, as we start to see right of way charges crashing and all of that, hopefully, I'm not making promises, but let's say next year, 2024, we can start to see even cheaper internet plans.
Another thing again, it might also be relative to state. So you might see this state is having like cheaper internet, and then you wonder why are the internet providers here like this, like that, and you wouldn't even know that it's deep things like this sort of policies that you just shed the light on the right of way.
Exactly.
So
I want to give an example. For example, in Ogun State in 2018, the Ogun State government partnered with Mena. I don't know if that's been continued now because there's a new government.
Okay.
But they partnered with Mena, one of the major fiber providers, to lay. I can't remember the exact figures now. I think 300 kilometers or 150 kilometers of fiber cable all around.
How long is that? Okay, all around the state.
Yeah, many of the Abeokuta Shagamu, many of the important places. And in return, they gave them free, and in return, they are going to provide internet for the government for the next 30 years.
Internet for the government?
Yeah, for
so
the next 30 years.
The government offices would have, whether they like it or not, whether they want to drop the money or not, they will have internet.
Exactly. So you can also see opportunities in e-governance.
Oh,
for example.
Yeah.
You get, and then businesses can now access internet cheaper and all of that. So you can imagine. What I don't now know is if it has continued because
I see what you mean. There's a new
well, that's what I don't know. So, but things like just speaking to what you're saying, like it's going to depend on a state by state basis, unless the federal government now comes and like uses. And it many times in the past, the federal government has tried to with its broadband policy. It has not worked. The state governments and local governments have just not to do their own way. So,
maybe it's a way they've seen to get some internal generated revenue, but it doesn't know. We are not thinking long term. Yes,
exactly.
You see how you talked about the gene mapping and all. These are things that people in developed countries began 50, 60 years ago when they didn't even understand what this thing was, but they knew that we have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
We have to start from the root, from the beginning, to be able to grow something up to a place that it has so many branches.
I'll give you an example now. I just read the research recently. I don't know whether it came from an African research, but we are seeing a rise in kidney renal diseases in Nigeria. Almost every week you hear of someone trying to, and then we hear different theories. Oh, it's the seasoning they eat, it's the salt, it's the Panadol, it's all of that. But they found that after sequencing that there's a certain gene in Africans that we developed as a resistance to the SSFLI, sleeping sickness. So in activating that gene to give us that resistance, it's also adversely affected or increased our chances for kidney failure. So that is why it's rampant among Africans.
This was a research that you
a recent research. I can send it to you later.
Okay.
So imagine if we had more people actually mapping the African genome to understand what sickle cell, for example, there is a serious problem. If it was a European disease, it would have been resolved by now. It's just recently we heard that the first successful bone marrow transplant was done to cure sickle cell. But imagine if we had been researching all of this.
It would have gone very extremely far.
I'm sure it would be a thing of the past now.
Yeah, it would have gone extremely far.
So just collaborating what you're saying.
Okay. So how else? How else can we, as a country, what are the other ways that we are not, that technology can help us, but we are not getting into?
I already mentioned education, health. Those are the two most important things.
Yeah, those are the two most important things.
But being honest, but I think one thing that will really revolutionize everything, because Nigerians are very smart people. We are very innovative people. And sometimes we just need to be able to see the opportunities. You've complained, people are complaining about the fact that there are too many fintech. It's because that's just what works. That's what is possible in this terrain. Given all the obstacles and everything that right? But just imagine if we can solve that connectivity problem, right? Internet is more accessible, it's cheaper, right? Just that way, we are going to start to see many people come up with different innovative ideas to change, to revolutionize areas in health, education, business, all of that. For me, health and education are just
they are the most important things. They are definitely the most important things.
Yeah, and these ideas have, some of those seemingly out there ideas that are shared are some of the possibilities that we can
happen. Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah,
when
and
we
they
are
make
properly
them
connected.
more African in the solution of things. I mean, I'll give you an example. There was a time where there was a company, I'm trying to remember their exact name, but what they were trying to do was so interesting. But again, because there was not enough funding and many of the factors, right, they died down. What they're trying to do is convert white noise. When those old school televisions.
Yeah.
When you switch it on, we don't have them anymore.
No.
So they're tapping into white noise, the spectrum of white noise, to create free internet connection for rural areas. They're solving a uniquely African problem.
A very uniquely African problem.
Right. No European is going to think about that. Right. So I remember this was 2014 or 15.
Whoa.
I remember. And so what they did was so amazing to me. But
what happened?
They died down. Yeah. No funding or whatever the challenges are. So you just imagine being able to tap all the television sets across a certain locality and using them to provide connectivity for
and that is you using what that community already has to give back to them, because we know in our rural communities they still have those television sets, like almost everybody still they still have it. So you're using what they have to give back to them, and there's nothing smarter or better than that. That's recycling. Virtually, that's virtually recycling something.
Exactly. So those two things need to be solved. Connectivity and even policy, enabling environments.
Policies. Enabling policies. I just want to ask you one quick question. Would you put internet connectivity above electricity if we had, if it was one or the two?
Yes, I would. So electricity, I mean, this is very, very debatable. I remember we still having the arguments a while back in my office. We seem to expect that electricity is something that the government should provide for us. But when we look at all the developing nations across the world, that's one of the most deregulated aspects of the world. So the government leaves it totally to private entities to figure it out. So you can change your electricity provider
at will.
You want at will. They pay almost through their nose. But that's not government's business, right? And we can actually, some areas, some rural areas, they don't even need that much electricity. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, they're not pouring a lot.
Yeah, they just need to be able to charge their mobile phone.
Yeah,
and they have
put on their lights.
Large landscapes, so there's solar power. They can charge their phones. But if they don't have internet, those phones are useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So electricity is not that much of a big deal that government should prioritize. Internet connectivity. You look at the example of Singapore. You know how they did that came.
Yeah. How they what?
Problem. How I don't want to say. I keep forgetting his name.
Okay.
Singapore's revolutionary leader that just came in and said, okay, broadband connectivity is going to solve this thing. He gave himself a decade to solve it, and he just put his political will behind it.
And now Singapore
has, I think, is it 98% or 99% broadband penetration? Like, internet is not even a problem. It's not even a concern.
Like, it is not an issue. It's not.
And it's ridiculously cheap.
And that was just one person that just came and just put his power behind. I want this to work.
He did other things, but that was one of his.
Okay, I know. It's just like how Nigerians say that, even if like your president or your whatever, you can pick one thing and just solve and before you leave.
Just solve that.
And just put your whole weight behind it and just solve it.
Health, education, internet connectivity. Those are fundamental rights as far as I'm concerned. Every other thing will be fine. Nigerians will be fine.
We will actually be fine, my brother. We will be we will be fine. Like,
It's
So
interesting. I mean,
before we go, what advice would you like to give our listeners? I think I would love you to tell us something around how, like, solving problems using technology. Just give us a little advice and tell us something
okay.
that we can work on this week as we go.
One thing that works for me and has always worked for me. So I didn't study anything to do with information technology, right? I studied mechanical engineering in school. Although I eventually did, my master's in IT, but it was a very introductory course. So, but anytime people come to me today and they ask me some things, and sometimes I tell them, okay, I don't know this thing, this particular thing. They expect me to know everything, right? I can understand that, but it's because I'm just willing to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the message I always have for everyone: willing to learn. There's this perception that people always have. They think technology is complex. They think it's just only for the
Young
experts and the coders or whatever.
and exposed people.
Yeah, so you just create a mind block in them where they don't realize that they can actually. Like, I mean, I already gave some examples of how people are doing things that they probably don't realize that is.
Yeah.
They are using technology revolutionary. It's as simple things as Google and YouTube, right? So you're willing to learn. Don't just once you get rid of that mental block that you feel like, oh, technology is so complex, just be willing to learn and have an open mind. Trust me, you will just the opportunities are just endless. Just be willing to learn. Consume a lot. Don't just use YouTube for just watching music videos and the likes. Use it to learn. Google to learn. There are courses you can take online, Udemy, Coursera. Udemy is always doing promotions like ridiculously cheap, like 90% discounts on many of their courses that are online. So as long as you're willing to learn and you have an open mind, you will figure out things. You will figure out how to use technology to make your life better, to make your business better. Read a lot. I mean, just learn. It doesn't get much more simpler than that. Just be willing
All right, Muyiwa, thank you so much. We have to go now. Thank you to all my listeners. You're welcome. We have come to an end of the maiden edition of our talk show today. I want to thank our guest for his illuminating answers, his depth of analysis, and he has set the pace for our future talk. It has been a wonderful overview of the impact of technology on our society. Our future episodes will focus on daily things you can do, tech platforms, and how we can make our experiences more exciting. Thank you all for listening, and join us same time next week, 11 a.m. up until 12 noon.